Fasten your seatbelts, hold on tight. You're in for one crazy ride tonight on the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show. Hashtag one on Facebook.
Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts, hold on tight. You're in for one epically awesome and crazy ride tonight on the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show. Hashtag one on YouTube. So with me tonight, we have race car driver Ryan Lewis. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thank you for having me.
So Ryan, let's talk about your racing career. Where did this awesome racing career start for you?
It started in go-karts at State Line Speedway. My first full season was in 2020. So I just wrapped up my third full season.
Okay. So when you started racing go-karts, did you have instantaneous success right out of the gate, or did it take a little while to get there?
I ran second to a good friend of mine named Jeff Davis, a lot that year. I had a lot of good friends, Andy Loomis in particular, that really helped me get dialed in and fast right out of the gate. Jeff's tough though, man. He's super smooth. He doesn't make mistakes. I had two races where I had opportunities and just couldn't quite get there.
Okay. So Ryan, so then how long before you actually had success and was able to park it in victory lane?
It was actually I want to say it was the last points race of the season.
Okay.
Jeff ended up not racing the flathead class that weekend. He opted to run the clone class in preparation for a money race the week after.
Yeah.
So I still had to work for it. We still had some stiff competition and it was not easy.
Okay. So Ryan, what was it like for you to park in victory lane for the first time?
I was pretty ecstatic. I thought about it a lot. I've been wanting to race since I was 8 years old. At the time I was 34, so it was a long time coming. And I really don't know what my plan was, but after I took the checkered flag, I did take a lap to myself. And I just kind of gave a thumbs up to my family and friends in turn 4. I told the flag man it was my first win, hence the delay, and then I promptly left.
Okay. So Ryan, what's the story behind your race car number now? Where did that come from?
So my dad was born in 1964.
Okay.
And that's the reason I chose it. It's been a number I've used in video games as a kid, and it was an easy decision. I do have two numbers inlaid into the 64. There's a 924 and a 2Z.
Okay.
The 924 is my dad's demolition derby number.
Okay.
And the 2Z was my grandfather's number when he raced figure eights.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. So Ryan, when you're sitting down and you're getting ready to plan out your paint scheme for next year, what's that take to sit down and figure that all out?
A lot of time, a lot of sleepless nights, because once I put my mind to something, it's hard to shut my brain off. I generally run a bright blue, a baby blue color. So
Okay.
I've got a few directions I want to head in this year. I was just talking to my friend Ryan Sanders about color schemes tonight, and we'll see what we come up with.
Okay. So Ryan Lewis, let's talk about sponsors. Who do you have for sponsors on your race car?
So my sponsors are more like friends and family donors. Indy Ricky was my first sponsor. He's a guy I work with. He's a good friend of mine. Love going to dirt races with him. He bought me all my safety gear, throws me money every year. Then I've got Elvin Graham, I consider him family. We'll actually be seeing him here in a couple of weeks in Thanksgiving, so I'll have to hit him up for some money then. We've also got Tom and Megan Sorby. They're a couple friends I met while working at a fish farm. They currently live in Maine. Tom is from England, so it's kind of weird that we get along. And then I sponsor myself. I started my own side business to fund this operation called Lakin's Logs.
Okay.
So I do a lot of woodworking, small engine repair, kind of like general handyman type stuff.
Okay. So Ryan, are you still looking for sponsors for your racing team?
Always.
So if there's anybody going to be out here watching this racing show with me and Ryan Lewis, and you want to reach out and get him some sponsorship, he would appreciate the sponsorship. on his race car as he gets further into his racing career.
Absolutely.
So Ryan, when it comes to your racing career, who did you look up to in your racing career? Who was your racing hero?
There was a lot of them. I grew up with a real heavy NASCAR background. We didn't have the time or the money to go out on the weekend, so TV was it. I was fortunate enough as a kid to have Speed Channel. So it was Tommy Kendall, Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace, Ernie Irvin, Boris Said, pretty much any of these big asphalt guys you can think of from the 90s.
Okay. So Ryan, have you had a chance to meet any of them big asphalt guys from the 90s?
Just Matt Kenseth. I met him at Watkins Glen one year. I met him and Jack Roush the same day. That was pretty neat. Jack and I share the same birthday, actually.
Okay.
He was hard to approach. I was so nervous to talk to Jack because he's like a racing god to me.
Yeah. Oh yes. So Ryan, when it comes to your racing career, what is the worst thing you've had happen to you as a race car driver?
I've been fortunate to not have a lot of bad accidents. I've seen some friends have some bad accidents, and you kind of put it out of your mind when you're racing yourself. I mean, me personally, honestly, the worst thing that's happened to me is I had a race, probably won. It was probably wrapped up with 4 laps to go, and I just looped it going into one. No reason, no explanation. Next thing you know, I turn around and I'm looking at my friend Scott. He's coming right at me. So
Oh boy.
that one hurts. I still think about that.
Oh boy. So Ryan, when it comes to your racing career and in general, so when you're strapped in your race car and ready to go out on the racetrack, what helps get you mentally focused to go out there and do this?
I mean, before I get in it, I'm laughing, I'm joking, I'm trying to get in my friends' heads and psych them out a little bit. Maybe pit Scott against his daughter. Once I sit down, once the engine fires, it's laser focus. I just picture what I'm going to do and just go out and do it as best I can. Butterflies go away as soon as the engine's running.
Okay. So Ryan, who helps work on your race cart?
That's just me. I have a close circle of friends and family at the racetrack that help me out. But at home, my wife's wrangling up our 6-year-old and our 2-year-old.
Okay.
So
Ryan, do you have a racing nickname?
Some people call me Flying Ryan. It's on my shirts. It's a natural rhyme. That's kind of an easy cop-out nickname, I think.
Yeah.
I'm fine with not having a nickname, to be honest with you. Just call me Ryan.
Okay. Well, Ryan, you're talking to the Full Throttle rock star here. So, okay. So Ryan, okay, when you're away from the racetrack, what do you like to do away from the racetrack?
Think about racing.
Yeah.
I eat, sleep, and breathe it. So when I'm doing anything else, it's I've got a lawnmower tore apart in here. I do a lot of small engine repair. I do these jobs to race.
Yeah.
If I'm not working in the garage, the way I kind of relax is I love to fish. I went to school for fisheries and aquaculture at SUNY Cobleskill, and I actually am one of 3 people that teach a fish and wildlife course at our local high school.
Very cool. I love to fish myself. Other than that, I eat, sleep, and breathe racing myself also.
Oh yeah.
So Ryan, when you're at the racetrack, what do you love to eat at the racetrack? What's your favorite thing to eat at the racetrack?
I usually get a burger. That seems to be what's cheapest at the local tracks. I don't eat for enjoyment. I just eat to not be hungry and enjoy the show.
Okay. So Ryan, when you're away from the racetrack, where's your favorite restaurant to eat at?
That's a tough one. I will say it's not Friendly's. My wife loves it. I can't stand Friendly's. I would say probably Taste of Pizza here in Olean is my favorite local place to go.
Okay. So what's your favorite home cooked meal that your wife makes for you then?
She's pretty good at spaghetti. I love her spaghetti. On the rare occasion that she make chicken and dumplings, that's another really solid choice.
Okay,
But
okay, okay,
it's
okay.
between them two.
Okay. So Ryan, what is your 5-year plan with racing? Where do you want to be at in 5 years with your racing career?
Well, in 5 years, my oldest will be 11. My youngest will be 7. I'd love to still be racing myself, but realistically, if my daughters want to race, if one wants to race, I'll race with her. If 2 wants to race, that's too much work, and I'll just take a step back and support them.
Okay.
And then I'll just secretly hope that they get grounded so I can go out and race occasionally.
Okay. So Ryan, what do you want to do in 10 years with your racing career then?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I love what I'm doing. This year I'm planning to travel a little bit, hit some new tracks. I love what I consider my home track at State Line Karts. But I've been to a few other tracks this year just to help out, and there's something unique that each one offers. So I'd like to make in 10 years, maybe I'd like to be, if I'm making enough money, maybe traveling to other states and trying other events.
Okay. So Ryan, let's talk about State Line. What's so unique about State Line? What makes that your favorite, your home track?
First and foremost, that's where most of my friends are.
Okay.
I consider them all family. Andy's like a brother, so I see him weekly, and he helps me out, and I pick on him. It's a balanced relationship. As far as what makes it unique, it's one of the few tracks around here that races during the day, and it's generally a really, really hard, abrasive track during the day. So at some tracks where you want a tire that's punching 25 or 30, at State Line, I've got tires that are punching 60 and 70. So a pretty hard tire.
So what is your favorite racetrack to race on besides State Line?
I've only raced at 2, at 3, or 2 other tracks. I would have to say Pittsfield in Pittsfield, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I won 3 races there this year, including a 200 to win flathead special. That was a really special race for me. That was my biggest win to date, $200.
Okay.
That track, when it's wet, it's super grippy. When you come off turn 4 is really flat but really fast, and you come out to the wall quickly, and you kind of feel like Superman for a second when you're like an inch off of it.
Okay. So Ryan, do you have any big racing events you're looking at doing here in the near future?
There was one I was interested in this fall. I want to say it's called the Turkey Ball or the Turkey Brawl. That was a flathead race with a Burris tire rule, which is what kept me out of it. I think that's 1,000 to win. That sounded pretty cool. I like the Briggs flathead motors, kind of a throwback. I thought that'd have been a fun one to do. So maybe next year.
Okay. So Ryan, who are some of your friends at the racetrack?
There's a lot of them. The ones I see regularly be Andy and his family, my buddy Moose, Ryan, Ward, Draven. Those guys all race big cars. Scott and Allie, Jeff, Kyle Joseph and his family, his dad Keith, they're good people. Kyle's given me fits at some tracks, so it was nice to beat him a couple times this year.
Oh, yes. So Ryan, do you have anything out there you want to say to the kids to help get them in a race car?
I don't know what I can say to get them into a race car. As a kid, I was kind of alienated because I was a race fan, and everybody I went to school with just thought that was a redneck sport, and it was just dumb. And I think if you love it and you want it, ignore what they say. I graduated high school, I went through college. I waited until my life got the busiest to start racing, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad my most important thing I would say is find a supportive wife or husband that will enable you to pursue this passion.
Okay. So Ryan, do you have anybody you'd like to send a special thank you out to?
Firstly, my wife, Jennifer. If she's not in the window of the garage watching me right now, she's probably in the house. She is unreal as far as giving me time out in the shop, getting ready, going to tracks. Even when the season's over, I'm leaving to help other people or just shadow them. She's been amazing. My daughters for kind of putting up with it. My mother-in-law, who helps out quite a bit when I'm gone. I get them out to a race about once a month.
Okay.
But it's a family effort, even though they don't turn wrenches.
So Ryan, let's talk about now your state line karts heavy flathead point championship in 2020. What was that like to capture that point championship?
It was exciting in my first year. The way I got it was I attended every race, and I ran second in a lot of them. I won 1 points race, and I finished that year. Either I finished first, second, or fifth. Jeff would have won the championship, except he bowed out for 2 weekends. So doesn't matter. I won it, and I was actually able to beat him in a race heads up this summer. So I feel a lot better about that now.
Very cool. Very cool.
With that, I forgot to bring it over. I was actually voted by the track staff, I'm assuming, driver of the year.
Very cool.
That meant more to me than that flag, points, title, any of the wins. I thought that was just dream come true, really.
Very cool. Very cool. So Ryan, I'm going to turn the mic over to you now. You have any questions you want to ask me? Go right ahead.
You're out in the Midwest?
Yes, I am.
Iowa?
Yes.
What kind of tracks do you visit out there?
There's quite a few tracks out here that I could visit anytime. I've been to Knoxville Raceway twice, 98, 99 for the Knoxville Nationals. I've been to Jackson Motorplex. That's Jackson Speed. It used to be Jackson Speed, but Jackson Motorplex now. That was a big dirt track out here. Then Fairmont Raceway was one I'd always hit on the weekends. And then I've also hit Britt, Iowa for Britt, Iowa's IMCA Night of 1,000 Stars. Yep. And then also I hit the Boone Super Nationals for one night. That's pretty insane. So yes.
As far as racing shows go, do you listen to the Dale Jr. Download or Bumper Clear?
Yes, I watched. I listened to the Dale Jr. Download. Yes.
I just started the one today with Scott Bloomquist. Have you ever met him?
I actually have. I've got a crazy story about that. A couple of years ago was supposed to have Scott Bloomquist on here and just got busy with life and stuff like that. But how that story goes is I was in the pit area. They were running late models at Jackson Motorplex and just was in there. And he was getting ready. He was on his four-wheeler signing some autographs, and there was like a few left. And I says, Scott Bloomquist, I got a question for you. And I was kind of shy about it. Yep. And I says, I got a question. I says, I host a racing show on it was Facebook Live at the time. I would love to have you on here. And he's like, I kind of motioned for like a piece of paper. And I says, well, I've got a business card here. So he took the back of one of my business cards and he wrote down a phone number and he says, call this number here. It's my wife's. He says, she'll schedule something with you. And I was like, okay, that's pretty wild.
So why did it fall through?
It just, I got busy with life. I had to take care of my dad. My dad was elderly and it just kind of fell through, but, I would love to get him back on here again.
He's got some wild stories. When they announced him as a guest, I was like, man, I'm looking forward to that. I'm relatively new to the dirt scene. I've been going to dirt tracks now for about 8 years, and I'm really getting more into it. The more I like, who Max Blair is?
Yes.
So Max is local to our area. I used to see him every day at the kart track. So now to see him out racing World of Outlaws is really awesome.
Oh yeah.
So
I would love to have Steve Kinzer and Doug Wolfgang and them guys on here too. That would be pretty insane.
They've got some wild stories.
Oh yes, exactly. But do you have any more questions for me there, Ryan?
Besides Knoxville Nationals, because that's a bucket list item for me. Have you been to like the Chili Bowl?
Never have. Would love to take that in. Would love to take that in. Yes, I would love to take that in.
Those are two big events I'd love to get to in the next 10 years, definitely.
Yes. And I'll tell you what, Knoxville Nationals wise, going back to that, if you get the opportunity to go to the Knoxville Nationals, take in all 4 days because it's really cool. And then even possibly, I didn't get a chance to the years I was there, but you will definitely want to take in the 2 nights of Oskaloosa too, the Front Row Challenge and the Ultimate Challenge. That's pretty insane. That's like 7 days of racing right there. Actually 6 would be 6, but yeah, and you meet a lot of race car drivers, a lot of racing fans down there. Just coincidentally, the last year I was down at the Knoxville Nationals. I was in the pit area and just waiting for Mark Kinzer to come in there. He had just signed the deal with Mopar, and that was like, he was still driving for working, but he was getting ready to jump into the Mopar scene. Well, he was down there and he won the Knoxville Nationals that year, and I was just staying in the pits waiting for him to come back to the pit area because they had the car roped off and they were getting ready to, the fans were waiting. And all at once, Carl Kinzer comes up to me and he says, "Hey, how's it going?" And I says, "Well, I'm going pretty good." And I introduced myself and he introduced himself. I says, "I know who you are, Carl. I've seen you before." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah." And he's like, "Well, can I help you?" And I says, "Well, I'm kind of waiting for Mark to come down because I would love to sit and chat with him." And he's like, "Well, I don't know how long he's going to be. He's up in the press box doing the interviews and stuff like that." And he's like, "Well, even though I'm not Mark, would you like an autograph?" And I was like, "Game on. Autograph from Carl Kinzer. Hello, let's go."
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got an autograph from Carl Kinzer, and he's like, "Well," he says, "I got another question for you." He says, "Would you like your picture taken with me?" I was like, "Game on, let's go." Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I haven't met a lot of World of Outlaw drivers in my time. I've met Doug Wolfgang, Joey Saldana, all them guys, and Shane Stewart, and yeah.
Pretty cool,
Yep.
pretty down to earth. You don't,
Oh yeah.
I guess they're on TV more now than they were 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Thanks to all the streaming platforms.
Oh yes. Yes.
But like very, very approachable, very
Oh yes.
nice.
The only one I can say that's not really approachable is Donnie Schatz, but yeah. But the rest of them are very approachable, and just you can go up and talk to them and stuff like that. So yes, definitely. But do you have any other questions for me, Ryan?
Yeah, just switching gears back to fishing. You said you're a fisherman.
Yes.
Have you ever ice fished? And what's your favorite species?
I've never ice fished. I love fishing for like catfish. I've been sat on a friend of mine's boat. I've seen some bass, but never caught one. I do use, when I go fishing, I do use a Shakespeare ugly stick catfish rod. So yeah. It's
That's solid. Fishing's important.
Fishing is important. Yes, it is.
I'm a multi-species fisherman.
Oh yeah.
Everything's got its season, but the ice is definitely my favorite. I live for that.
Okay.
If you're lucky, 2 months in New York State.
Oh yeah. Out here we have it. Ice season normally runs around November, December, January, February, possibly March and even April, but we get a lot of snow out here.
I've got a couple of friends that they race big cars.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking directly to Ward Shell. We're at a race car show. I kind of knew his grandson a little bit, and I got talking with Ward, and I found out he's an ice fisherman. And for about an hour straight, we didn't talk anything about racing. It was just ice fishing.
Okay.
So there are a couple of guys I like to hang out with and freeze together with.
Yeah, but thank you very much for being on the racing show with me tonight, Ryan, and getting to know you a little bit better. I will call you a little bit to thank you in person. I'm going to give a little racing news update and then close out, and then I'll give you a call.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. I'll have you step out so I can do that, and we'll be ready to go.
All right, man.
Yep. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Ryan Lewis, driver of the number 64 go-kart from the East Coast. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I have no racing news updates for you tonight. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, go press like on the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show. Press like, subscribe, and hit that notification button on the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show #1 on YouTube. Also, ladies and gentlemen, go press like on the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show #1 on Facebook for all your racing news updates. If you would like to sponsor my racing show or be on my racing show, feel free to email me at jjnolan151@gmail.com, or you can call or text me at 712-209-7138. I would like to thank my sponsors, Manning Motorsports and New England Hemophilia Association. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good night. Catch you later on another episode of the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show #1 on YouTube.